But I mastered that style. It's like the 5 deadly venoms. So all he had to do was get next to a nigga like that, and he could destroy him.
Believe in that, for real. We plan to take the same strategy we use with Death Row West, mind over matter, taking all our weaknesses and making it into our strength. That all these people talk about an East Coast, West Coast war, they like the Judas was to Jesus. They only here to cause confusion. We here to bring money and to bring change. They here to cause confusion. All these weak rappers, Nas, all these suckers, they battling off of East and West like this is a game. This ain't no game. If this was chess, we'd be yelling checkmate 3 years ago, because we've been beat these. It's not a game.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. It's the return of Egoveli. Now, I was about to let y'all live. I was like, let them soak in their misery and their loss and deal with it. Because, I mean, really, there are some true Pacquiao fans that don't do the extremist shit. But then I had to turn back to Egoveli. You know why? Because I'm sick of excuses. My adversaries crumble when we rumble with the catastrophe. I'm from revenge on bitch niggas that blasted me. So now you're getting Egoveli. And if you don't like to hear the truth, click off the video, because that's all I tell you. Especially when I'm doing my Egoveli rants. So we're going to break it down. Now, it just came out that Team Pacquiao is alleging Manny Pacquiao sustained a shoulder injury, which prohibited his performance. And that's why he couldn't get off like he wanted to in this particular fight. Now, injuries do happen. But I don't give a fuck. Because, first of all, I know fighters. No fighter really comes into the ring 100%. These aren't manufactured toys from KB Toy Store or something. These are people. And most of these guys have been fighting since a young age. So, point being, most fighters don't come into any fight at a full 100%. It's not a video game where you're just at 100% meter. So, I don't want to hear any excuses. Second of all, if you are leading up to the biggest fight of the century with Floyd Mayweather, and there's all this money on the line, your reputations are on the line, your belt is on the line, and you have a fight-altering injury that's going to prohibit your performance, why not pull out of the fight? Why not get the fight postponed? Danny Garcia did it. He was supposed to fight Zab Judah, I believe, in February of that particular year. He was sparring with DeMarcus Corley. Things got a little rough. Had a rib injury. People said he was ducking. Zab Judah went on social media, said Danny Garcia is trying to duck out of the fight, but they just postponed it. And I believe they met in April of that year, and they did commence with the fight, even though it didn't happen when it was initially scheduled. So why not do something like that? Obviously, people wanted to see it May 2nd, but this is your career. This is your legacy. If you're not fully prepared to fight to the point where your injury is that severe, then why not get it postponed? And it's not like they had a lot of time to prep because the negotiations took so long anyway. So it probably would have been better to see this fight in September, give people more time to plan for it and have a press tour and the other stuff that traditional fights have. But you didn't do that. You didn't pull out. You chose to fight. So after that, I don't want to hear any excuses. You went in there. It is what it is. Nonito Donaire tried that. He said, oh, my shoulder, after Rigondeaux beat him. Nobody cares about excuses. Nobody wants to hear that after a fight. And in fact, it actually makes you look like a poor sport because you lost. You knew what you were getting into. You knew if you weren't at 100% or you're only at 20% or whatever is wrong with you, or whatever your claim is wrong with you, you knew what you were going. And this is my question to y'all. If Manny Pacquiao was able to knock Floyd out, let's say in the 9th round, he knocked him out. Do you think we'll ever hear anything about this shoulder injury from 3 to 4 weeks ago? No. Therefore, it's an excuse. If Mayweather got knocked out, then he would just been another opponent that Pacquiao TKO'd or knocked out, right? We wouldn't have heard nothing about a shoulder injury. Why? You're rejoicing, you're celebrating, you got all the belts. Now all of a sudden, because you're disappointed, your little pride is hurt because you got embarrassed and beat majority of the rounds. Now all of a sudden, oh, it's my shoulder. It's because of my shoulder. Nobody wants to hear that. Another thing, you were at the press conference and you look like you were on a goddamn roller coaster. You were putting both hands in the air, waving to the crowd, like waving. You got both hands in the air. Put your hand like you had a rave or something. What happened to your shoulder injury then? You were all fanning the crowd and stuff, both hands up. Where was the shoulder injury? You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is, even in the fight, I've seen plenty of fighters fight with injuries. I've seen Lomachenko fight with a hurt hand, etc. And usually when they throw that messed up hand, or when they're punching, you could tell they're injured because they have that wince, like they wince of pain every time they throw. Pacquiao, when he was able to get shots off, it didn't look like they were hard shots. It looked like he was putting full momentum and force and everything in it. It's just he couldn't get off as many offensive shots as he wanted to. And this is what Mayweather does. Mayweather, I told you that in my prediction. This is what he does. He nullifies his plus and minus. He gets people to expend unnecessary energy, and he gets people that normally throw more punches, and it looks like they don't. Like, watch Canelo. Canelo versus Angulo, Canelo threw a good amount of punches to get the TKO stoppage. He threw a lot of punches. He was beating up on Angulo. He didn't land or even throw as many punches because Mayweather was setting traps and he couldn't corner him and stuff like that. Mayweather does this. And unless your name is Castillo or Maidana, most people, their percentage is effective. And again, I don't want to hear excuses. All these people are like, but Mayweather he didn't step on the official scales. Shut the fuck up. I don't care, because point blank is this. I'm gonna tell you a few things. He made weight. He only weighed 1 pound. He was 1 pound under the welterweight limit of 147, and he was only 1 pound higher than Pacquiao. So he made the weigh-in weight. That's all that matters. And we know Mayweather's not a huge welterweight, right? And nobody had a problem when Maidana's big ass rehydrated 15, 17 pounds against Mayweather. That was all fair game, right? Floyd didn't even step on the scales, and people are trying to use that as an excuse. You don't even know how much he weighed. You can speculate all day, but you don't even know because he didn't step on the scale. But again, when Maidana rehydrated, we know how much he rehydrated, 17 pounds or whatever. That's all good. And to me, I doubt that Floyd rehydrated crazy. You know what I'm saying? He's always naturally bigger than Pacquiao, his frame and stuff, and he's muscular. So, you know what I mean? He's always going to look bigger than Pacquiao. He looked bigger even before they did the weigh-ins. Like back when they first were at the Miami Heat game, he always looked bigger than Pacquiao. That's the whole thing about it. So stop with that. You don't even know how much he weighed, so everything is just a random guess. The things I'm saying is fact. I can prove what I'm saying. You can't, because you don't even know how much he weighed. So stop with that. Another thing, Chavez Jr., his last fight, he didn't step on the scale. He never steps on the scale. And guess what? His last fight versus Fonfara, he might have outweighed Fonfara. It's all a random guess. Fonfara beat him up and sat that ass down. So, I mean, it's not all about weight. He could have possibly, even though Fonfara was taller, he might have outweighed Fonfara, because they said versus Sergio Martinez, he was weighing 185 to 190 something. So Chavez Jr. is a big dude, and he got knocked out and quit in his last fight. So stop with that, oh, we don't know how much he weighed type shit. Y'all are so desperate that instead of just giving credit and looking like a halfway decent person and boxing fan, you'll start making more excuses, and you just look like a parasite because you look desperate to cling on to anything. You wish there was at least a knockdown. And HBO fucked it up for you, because Pacquiao, Top Rank, they do majority of their business with HBO. And everybody on HBO, from HBO to Showtime, on their scorecards had Mayweather winning. So, in my mind, the only person that I know on record, I haven't watched a whole bunch of post-fight interviews, that was close to the situation that said Pacquiao won, was Pacquiao. You know what I mean? Your own network didn't even think you won. And they've supported your whole career. Jim Lampley didn't think you won. Max Kellerman said you didn't win. You know what I'm saying? Max Kellerman was drilling you. What happened to that prison inmate analogy? He says he gave in to all of Floyd's demands because it's just like a prisoner on death row. Why didn't you mention your shoulder then, when Floyd was a prisoner on death row getting his last meal, when you made that whole joke on At Last and you were snickering like he's like a death row inmate? Why didn't you tell us about your shoulder then? Another thing, Marcos Maidana did better than Manny Pacquiao. And if you listen to my prediction, I was telling you, Maidana is big. He outweighed Floyd. He's a pressure fighter, and he has a better jab. That's why Maidana, like, I want somebody to dispute this. Name one person, if you really feel Pacquiao looked better or did better than Maidana did versus Floyd in the first fight, drop me a comment and leave your argument. Because I want to debate someone just so all of my followers, all the people that view the video can see how dumb you are. Maidana did better than Pacquiao. Pacquiao was supposed to be the one, the generation. God was supposed to use him as an instrument to beat Mayweather, and you lost. You lost your belt. Maidana looked better. And it is what it is. And I know some of y'all don't like Egoveli because I keep it real. And you want me to lie. I'm not doing that for you. I'm not going to change my views, my beliefs to make you feel better. It's just not going to happen. And this is the other thing. A lot of people want to criticize Floyd. Say, oh, he could have done this and he could have done that. Cool. In my opinion, I'm satisfied. I think he had a pretty dominant performance. You can't really give more than 3, maybe 4. And 4 would be pushing it just because some of the rounds, like, put it this way, back to the Maidana example, there were clear-cut Maidana rounds where, I don't care what anybody says, Floyd did not win those rounds. Maidana clearly won those rounds, or a certain round, right? Some of Pacquiao's best round might have been round 4, but some of the rounds that may have been scored with Pacquiao, they weren't definitive, definite Pacquiao-only rounds, because Mayweather was still doing good work in a lot of those rounds, counter-punching and stuff, and then Pacquiao might have cornered him for a section, a spot, a flurry, and got off some combinations. So a lot of those are even subjective, you know what I mean? So you can't really even give Pac too many rounds, much more than 3 or 4 rounds, and 4 is pushing it, and that's kind of what you like type of deal, as opposed to Pacquiao just looks so phenomenal and dominant and easily won a round, right? And the thing about it is you got people criticizing the winner. Why are we criticizing the person who's in the lead? Why are we criticizing the person who's controlling the distance, frustrating their opponent? Mayweather wasn't banging his gloves together, but Pacquiao was. So why criticize and chastise and ostracize the person who doesn't have to do anything else different? And that's the fucked up thing about boxing fans. People always want to, Floyd could have done this. In my opinion, I'm satisfied with the Floyd performance. I thought he did good. And I'm going to get to that in a second. And I think he could have been more aggressive in spots. He might have been able to get the stoppage had he been more aggressive, but that would have created more openings for Pacquiao. So it was a gamble. It's a trade-off. So if you're clearly up, why, you know what I mean, why? This is the guy they want to beat you anyway. So, you know what I mean, Floyd's probably played it cautious and like, why give him any opportunities? My skill set will get me through this fight. You know what I mean? He can't fuck with me on in terms of skills. So why even give him an opening when I don't have to, when I'm clearly winning this particular fight? But anyway, people, the fucked up thing about boxing is people want to criticize the person in the lead, the winner. So if you're watching a relay race and you see someone in first place, you see someone trailing, you're okay with the person trailing. You're not going to coach them and help them get to the finish line. Yet you want to criticize the person who's clearly winning the race. Mayweather was clearly winning the race. So it makes no sense that people have all this scrutiny. Oh, I'm not really impressed with Mayweather's performance. It was Pacquiao's obligation to turn things up. He's the aggressive fighter. He's Mr. Powerful. He's the southpaw. He has the deadly straight left, right? So he's losing too. It got to a point where he needed a knockout to win. So why didn't he go for broke and say, you know what, fuck this, I got to take this guy out of here, it's my only chance, and go for broke? And the people who were complaining about a knockout, you probably would have seen one, but it probably wouldn't have been Manny Pacquiao getting the knockout. It would have probably been him getting knocked out, because that's what Floyd capitalizes on. He waits for you to get that frustrated till you start making mistakes and doing senseless things and just jumping in and lunging so he can time you. That's what he wants to happen. And Mayweather probably would have got at least a knockdown, if not knocked Pacquiao out at that point, because Pacquiao was in a spot of desperation. When I play people on Madden and it's the fourth quarter, they're down by 3 touchdowns and they're about to get to the 2-minute warning, they start doing all kinds of Hail Marys and crazy plays and going for it on 4th and 23 because they have no other options. They have to do these crazy plays because that's the only way they can win. So that's what Mayweather likes. He likes when you're down and it's 4th and 23 and you have to do some crazy shit and keep going for it because you're that behind. Because all he has to do is be smart, continue to be smart, and you'll probably run into something, or he'll run you into something. So it's crazy and mind-blowing that people criticize the winner. Mayweather didn't need to do anything different. Why are you going to say, I'm not that impressed with Floyd's performance? You shouldn't be impressed with Pacquiao's performance. He's the one that needed to make an adjustment, which I told you my prediction. He wasn't going to be the master adjustment and probably couldn't make those adjustments late. So I'm just sick of it. And the other thing, I'm not impressed with Floyd. You got to look at it. Floyd, almost 40 years old, never faced Pacquiao, never sparred Pacquiao. The very first time he beats him to the point where you can only give Pacquiao maybe 3 rounds, 4 rounds, right? And Mayweather's feather-fisted. He's the chicken. His voice was cracking at the press conference because he was nervous. He was on death row, according to Pacquiao, and he was getting his last meal. He had been running from Pacquiao the last 5 years, right? All these things. So when I'm thinking about it, this is his first time fighting Pacquiao. How is he able to do those things? Marquez, and I don't think Marquez lost every fight that they said he lost. However, on paper, he lost 3 fights, won 1 via knockout. And it took 4 tries for a great, and Marquez is one of my favorites, took 4 tries for Marquez to get a knockdown, let alone his knockout in the 4th fight. It wasn't until his 4th try, over a span of different years and constantly in the back of his mind saying like, oh, I beat Pacquiao and stuff like that. Timothy Bradley, he won. A lot of people said he lost and shouldn't have beat Pacquiao. Then he had a chance to prove it wasn't a fluke, and Timothy Bradley's a great fighter. And he lost to Pacquiao again. Well, he won the first time, but a lot of people thought he lost. And then he fought him again, and he clearly lost in the 2nd fight. So Mayweather, this is his first crack at it, like Eric Morales too. Eric Morales versus Pacquiao. He beat Pacquiao once. And that was kind of disputed. Pacquiao didn't get to wear his gloves. He had to cut over his eye. But then Pacquiao came back and thrashed him 2 other times. And like I said, the first Eric Morales fight was disputed. Some people had Pacquiao winning that particular fight too. Mayweather's first try, he makes Pacquiao look very average and almost amateurish and doesn't look like the whirlwind that was bulldozing guys bigger than him, Cotto, guys like Margarito, Shane Mosley, Claudio, all these guys bigger than him. And this is his first try. So it's like, why are we talking about how unimpressive Floyd was? Why don't you talk about how unimpressive Pacquiao was? He was the one that needed to make drastic changes and failed to do that. So stop with the excuses. Pacquiao, it's like everything. His voice was cracking and he was scared. I seen the fear in his eye. Now all of a sudden his shoulder injuries. Before that, they were saying there was a dispute with the gloves because they had horsehair. Then the Nevada State Athletic Commission overruled Mayweather and Team Mayweather their challenge. Pacquiao got to wear the Cleto Reyes with the horsehair mixture in his gloves. So he wore the gloves he wants, and he still did worse than Maidana. Fact. Egoveli, the New World Order. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.